Wow, is this thing on? Guys, is this thing on? It has literally been ages since I turned on this camera to produce any booktube content. Am I back? I don't know. I don't know. But I know I am going to talk to you guys because it's been so long. So let me just get myself set up here. If this is your first time seeing my face, hi there. Hello. My name is Diamond and I used to be a booktuber. I don't know what I have going on now. I've abandoned my channel, but so many things have been going on. As with a lot of us, is this thing on? Do I even know what I'm doing anymore? I fear I have lost the plot. So yeah, this is just going to be a vlog, of course. We are reading, okay? We've been reading, but it's just been like, it's been in and out, girl. In and out. I don't know. Should I tell you guys what I've been reading? Let's just go to the story graph. Let's do the story graph. This is going to be very just laid back, as all my videos are. Let's see. Story graph. I took Autumn to New York. So earlier in April, we did a trip to New York. We were there for a week. We enjoyed ourselves thoroughly, although there were times where Autumn was just like, Mom, I cannot. You know, my feet hurt and my legs hurt. I've got to rest. So we weren't able to fit in a lot of the things that I really wanted to take her to do. But we had a blast. We had a ball. I didn't do any filming there. I think the only filming that I was able to do, aside from, I did take a lot of pictures though, but the only filming that I did initially was just like her on the plane, her on the subway, and I was able to go to McNally Jackson's. And I got a couple of books. So literally just two, because I was not about to buy like a whole bunch of stuff. So I have enough books that I have to read. I'm not interested in hoarding books. I do plan on reading a lot of my own collection, but I found it very important to grab a couple of books that have been on my list to also like serve as souvenirs for my trip to New York that I'll never forget. And so one of the books that I felt behooved to get was a book that was that's been on my mind to purchase. I've been wanting to get this book for so long, but I wanted it to be more special and I wanted a nicer cover. And lo and behold, when I go to McNally Jackson's, and just to prove to you guys that I went, you know, they do give a bookmark. Look at that. That is a McNally Jackson bookmark. And I'm going to be reading this. I haven't read any James Baldwin since 2021. So, and it was Go Tell It on the Mountain. No, I read The Fire Next Time in 2021, which are essays. So I haven't read any fiction by James Baldwin. And so they had this beautiful copy of Giovanni's Room. And so I was like, look at that. Isn't that pretty? Oh my goodness. Look at it. It's James. So yeah, I bought Giovanni's Room for McNally Jackson's, and for those of you who don't know what it's about, I'm gonna read it. So, in the 1950s, in the 1950s Paris of American expatriates, liaisons, and violence, a young man finds himself caught between desire and conventional morality. David has just proposed marriage to his American girlfriend, but while she is away on a trip, he becomes involved in a doomed affair with a bartender named Giovanni. With a sharp, probing insight, James Baldwin's classic narrative delves into the mystery of love and tells a deeply moving story that reveals the unspoken complexities of the human heart. One of the most brilliant and provocative literary figures of the past century, James Baldwin gives us a groundbreaking novel about love and fear of love. And yeah, beautiful. And so I hadn't started reading that yet. But what I did also get was another book that was on my mind. It had been on my mind since it was on the Booker Prize list in 2022. And that is Mother Dead by Fictus Hjorth. And I have made it to page 139. This is a quite interesting book. It is about a woman who is Nordic, a Nordic woman, I think, Icelandic, sorry, don't know. It's not more so about where they live or anything like that. It's about the relationship between a child turned adult woman, and this is also about her in her older years. She's like half, or why am I about to say half a century? I don't know why I was about to say that, but she's in her mid to late 50s, and she has finally moved back home from living in the States and being an artist. And so what it is about is very different. It's very unique. Some chapters are 1 page, some chapters are 10 pages. I don't know what you call that, fragmentary style, but it's about a woman, an older woman in her older years, and she's reflecting on a life that she has lived in isolation from her family. And the reason why she's left her family and she's in isolation now is because she chose to leave at her own free will and marry somebody of her choosing and go on her own path. They wanted her to be a lawyer. She wanted to be an artist. And it tells the fragmented story, or the broken story, or whatever have you, of the relationship mainly to this narrator and her mother, which is why it's called Is Mother Dead. I haven't gotten to the portion to see, like, is her mother really dead or not? I don't know. But what I do know is it's a very sad story. It's very heartbreaking because I can feel what it's leading up to telling us, or it's really just telling the story of loss. Even though she has lived a full life with her husband, and she did have a son, and she loved him dearly, her husband died, and her son is an adult, moved on, got his own family and everything like that. She still very much so misses her mother. She misses her sister. And so a lot of this, if you can see here, you see this character right here with these goggles, with these binoculars on. She's spying on, or I'm at the parts now where she's moved back to her hometown, and she's running into people, and she feels, of course, that these people are most definitely telling my mom that I'm back, and she's kind of expecting them to reach out to her, although it doesn't explicitly state it. She's expecting someone to reach out to her sister or something, if they can just like talk to each other, let bygones be bygones and move past things. That's what she's kind of sort of hoping for, I think. And so it's not happening. And so what she's doing is she's spying on them daily now. And that's just where I kind of left off at with this one. And the reason why I stopped reading it, I probably stopped reading it about a week and a half ago. It's just that it's not a bad book, but I'm not in love with it. And I'm searching for things that I am in love with, and I just can't stop reading and can't stop putting down. And this one, I definitely stopped reading my other book that I'm going to tell you guys about, because I was so excited about this, and I was like, I want to read this. I got it from New York. Time to dive into the books that I got from New York. But it's just not gripping. Like, it's not catching me. It's not making me want to pick it up. And so I don't want to waste my time. So let's go to the next book that I've also been reading for the last. I started reading The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexander Dumas at the beginning of March. And so we are slowly making our way through. I am on page 457. If you don't know, this book is 1,100 pages long. So yeah, I've made it to page 457. The chapter is called Breakfast, and I don't know what chapter this is because I'm not that good at Roman numerals. Everybody has already talked about, well, not everybody, but so many people have already talked about it, but I'm not going to go backwards. And also, this is just one that I'm just going to be reading on my own. It's not something that I just want to like come on film and talk about and discuss. I don't want to go into like deep detail because I've already begun. And I think that me conquering this book this year is more so personal, because I remember when I bought this and I was like, girl, you would never. This is before I really started reading chunkers that are not broken up, you know, like Harry Potter's and stuff like that. Like if anything, those are one book and they're just broken up. Or the Lonesome Dove trilogies, they're like one book but they're broken up. But anyway, or the Wolf Hall trilogies, they're like one book but broken into three. This is a whole big one thing. So it's kind of scary to look at it, but when you take it piece by piece, day by day, and you don't stress yourself, it's really a joy. So this is like my personal read. I'm hoping to be done with this by July. So because I have other books that I'm reading, like literally. But I've also been reading The Count of Monte Cristo, and we're on chapter, we'll say 41. So those are a couple. There's a theme here. But you're sitting on another book that I've started reading. So give me 1 second. Another book that I started that I also put down because I quickly realized that it was going to take a lot more of my attention than I actually had to give it was Mama Day by Gloria Naylor. Came across this book in a used bookstore, and I was like, I remember a booktuber who also has a commentary channel, Kenya, over at Lily Reed, said that her absolute most favorite book of all time is Mama Day by Gloria Naylor. And when I saw this, I immediately thought of what she said. And I was like, I'm going to get this. And so I did start reading it, and I forgot. I think I'm on page... I stopped on page 39, and I remember because I was like, You got to give this book a lot more attention than you're giving it. And within these summer months, I just don't see that happening with this one. Because it's reminiscent of how I described, what is that book I read when I first started my new job last year in April. It was The Shipping News. It's really reminiscent of The Shipping News and that choppy style. And it seemed like I just, every time I would sit down and read some pages, I just couldn't catch the rhythm, but it still was such an interesting story. And so I was like, you know what, when she gets back home to her family, I'm going to stop. And that's what it is. So around page 39, 35-ish, she makes it back from New York. She comes from New York back to her hometown. That's like somewhere between like the Carolinas or something like that. And I was like, you know what? It's too much going on in this novel for me not to give it my full-fledged attention. So I'm thinking about putting this... I'm going to put this completely on the back burner until fall-ish winter. Because I'm definitely going to revisit this because it's very, very interesting. And only getting to page 39, I definitely consider this book probably every week. I'm like looking at over here on my junky desk, like everything is just so messy in here, y'all. I'm going to clean up soon, but it's just, I've been dealing with so much, it's been so much going on. I just haven't even had time to even just sit down and like organize my space. You know what I'm saying? Really clean up my room. My room used to be way cleaner than it is, but hey, that's another subject. But yeah, we're going to pick this one back up in the fall or winter months. That's Mama Day by Gloria Naylor. Another one that I got to, what page did I get to in this? These are all of the last few months, y'all. I got to page 29, chapter 7 of The Pisces by Melissa Broder. This book was a booktube darling. All of the whites loved this one. They ranted and raved about this one, and naturally I want to read it too, and I want to see what everybody else was talking about. And honestly, it's a hoot. It's funny. It's very funny. It's very intense. It's very reminiscent of my sign. I do believe wholeheartedly in astronomy. Sorry, astrology, but astronomy of course too. But it's so similar to the ways in which I view and think about things, and that this main character in this novel, she's very intrusive. I feel like I'm experiencing a lot of her own intrusive thoughts that are very much, they mimic me and mimic the ways that which I feel, my obsessive compulsiveness, how I used to be when I used to date, because I do date, but I don't date anymore. It's like a I do but I don't type of thing. It's like I go into every situation with the whole idea of I'm not going to talk to this guy tomorrow. That's just how I think about things now, because I know exactly who I am and I know exactly what I want. But reading this book, it reminds me of how I used to be. So I do feel like this character is too old to be behaving the way that she's behaving in this novel, but it's still very interesting. And I will make my way back to this as soon as I can ground myself. That's another problem that I'm kind of just having. I'm struggling with being grounded. I feel like I'm all over the place. My life has been completely blown into just it's like a critical whirlpool. It's critical because it's something that might have needed to happen, especially at the tender age of 33. I needed this shakeup, but I'm still struggling to grasp a standstill. Oh my God, I'm really struggling with that. And so with that, my whole life, the routines that I used to know, what is a routine now? You know what I mean? What is a routine now? What is life now? So I'm just like struggling with that, because nothing seems to be concrete. I used to have a lot of actuality, concreteness. I used to have a lot of just like, this is what it's going to be today. This is what's going to be tomorrow. This is what's going to be next week. And now it's just, every day is just not even a plan. There's no plan. I used to plan my reading. I used to plan my reading time. There used to be, but ever since I quit teaching, I kid you not, so many things have just been like just out of control. But I'm not to the point where it's getting to be too much or too heavy yet. So we're just going to continue to go with it, and we're going to continue to trust the universe. So yeah. So those are the books. Have I read anything else? Let me see if I try. I think I might not have. Oh, these are books that I finished, and they're going to be in another video. So I'm not going to speak on those. And then let's see, what do we have in our Libby app? So I do have some audiobooks in my Libby app. Okay, so I did just acquire The Count of Monte Cristo audiobook, so I'm going to go in with the audiobook and the physical copy and read some more of that throughout the next month. And because you can keep them for 22 days. And let's talk about Sula. So I do have Sula on audio as well, but I have been reading her physically. So I have been overdue for a reread of Sula, and which I'm also supposed to be doing book club with my friend Jelly. Shout out to Jelly. We're gonna be reading The Bluest Eye together, but I have not touched base with her to see where she's gotten on this. I already know what to expect with this, so I'm not gonna really struggle this time around because I've read this before. But I have been itching for a reread. I'm gonna tell you guys where I've been and where I'm leaving. So I have been on TikTok quite a bit, because it's just easier to just like pick up the camera and say some things. So, but I don't like it, because one thing about TikTok is that you can't, I'm not saying you can control your audience on YouTube, but on here, everything is about my books, unless I go to my other channel and I make commentary over there, which I haven't been over there. But on TikTok, and like more specifically, I have so many things that I be wanting to say and get off my chest, and I know that people feel me. It's more of the need for like instant connection, you know what I mean, and see who's on the same wavelength as me, who's thinking like me. But what I found in producing short form content over there is that it's not how it used to be when I used to go on Instagram stories and talk about things. It's not the same. And so you cannot control what type of person enters into your realm of thinking over there, and I don't like that. You know, when I'm over there, I literally am the person that I am in real life. You know, I talk about the date that I might have went on yesterday or last week, or me having to kick somebody out of my car. You know, I cuss a little bit more over there, because this is more, I'll cuss on this and all this, but this is more professional to me. This is more like a TV show. This is my network. This Jaded Reads channel, this diamond over here, I look at this as this is my TV show. It's not perfect by any means, but it's more professional over here. So over there, I'm cussing, I'm speaking my mind, I'm saying how I truly feel, which is cool. And I do get a lot of views, and I do get a lot of engagement, but I still don't like it. Like, I don't know. I just feel like the racism over there, as far as who's like pulling the strings, is more pronounced. Like, I can feel it, I can see it, I can sense it, and I don't want to invest any of my time over there. It's a waste of time for me. So I made the conscious decision to private my account and also to delete it. I don't want to be bothered. It's not for me. YouTube is my comfort zone. YouTube is what I'm interested in. I don't know. It's just something about TikTok that's just not giving. Like, it's just not giving. There's too many people who want to be over there, and YouTube are people who are. Now, I'm not going to say that people don't get inspired by one another on here and they don't like take bits and pieces, but it's not so much of completely copycatting. That TikTok is a copycat. It should be called copycat. Now, it shouldn't even be called it should be called copycat app. On more than one occasion, my content has been stolen over there already, and I only have just a little bit over 1,000 followers on more than one occasion. So yeah, it's a lot of things that we can like dive deeper into as to why I don't want to be over there. And I didn't feel the need to make it a book talk. I definitely don't want to be on book talk. Most definitely not. So anyways, that's where I've been to. And I make 1 to 2 videos a day because it's just so easy, and they be like between 3 and 5 minutes. But yeah, I'm done. But anyway, Sula. Let me check on my pizza. I'll be right back. All right, so I did stop to eat some pizza. So before I lay down and read for the next hour or so, because it's 10 o'clock p.m., I want to talk about Sula. So this is going to be my second time reading Sula. The last time I read Sula was in 2022, I'm sorry. And ever since I found this copy, I've been wanting to read it. So another book that I've started. I started reading this book just the other day. Sunday. I am on page 40. It's very short. This is really a sit, and you can do this in one sitting. Sula isn't as heartbreaking as The Bluest Eye, So you can read it in one sitting. But reading it in one sitting, I'm not sure you will catch all all of the amazingness that Toni Morrison is feeding you. You're gonna spill it, okay? A lot is gonna fall out of your mouth. You're gonna waste a lot of the drink that she's giving you. Everything, like, it's just a lot, okay? So I would say this is my close reading of Sula. And so what you're getting when you're reading Sula is the story of the matriarchs in two families. Nell's family, which is one of the main characters, and Sula's best friend, and Sula's family. You're getting to know the background of Nell and all of these things that are painting the picture of who Nell is and who Nell is going to become as her and Sula grow and matriculate through life. Individually, in relationship, in marriage, as parents, as a parent, and as a friend. You're getting to know Nell. And subsequently, you're going to get to know Sula and Sula's mom and grandma and the way Sula was raised, the home Sula was raised in. You're getting this juxtaposition of the both of them. Toni Morrison is so interesting because of how she decides to characterize Nell. You even get things like when we start to, it's important to note about Nell's mom, Helene, and where Helene comes from and why Helene is the way that she is and why Helene raised Nell to be such a, I don't want to call her what I want to call her, so I'll wait. But we get introduced to Nell on page 18. And just listen to what Toni Morrison says. Her, meaning Helene. Her daughter was more comfort and purpose than she had ever hoped to find in this life. She rose grandly to the occasion of motherhood, grateful deep down in her heart that the child had not inherited the great beauty that was hers, that her skin had dusk in it, that her lashes were substantial but not undignified in their length, that she had taken the broad, flat nose of Wiley. Although Helene expected to improve it somewhat, and his generous lips. Under Helene's hand, the girl became obedient and polite. That's going to be Nell in a nutshell in this book. That is going to be Nell in a nutshell in this book. Those 4 to 5 lines depict exactly what Nell is and why Nell becomes what she becomes in this story. And then a few pages later, you're going to start to get introduced to Sula. How Sula was raised, where Sula came from, how free-flowing Sula and her people were, the boarding house that her grandmother Eva had built on land, and just how they were, how they be, how unkempt Sula is compared to Nell and her family. You know, it's just like a wonderful juxtaposition between the two, and that sets up the tone, and sets the basis for the storyline that is to come. And so I'm going to read Sula in this vlog. So we introduced each other. I've introduced you to me, to where I am right now in my life. The things I've been doing, where I've been, to lead up to this is going to be a vlog where we read Sula. And we discuss Sula and Toni Morrison. So yeah, I'm excited. So this will be over the course of a couple of days. And it is honestly, I feel like I've been yearning to bring the vlogs back, because the vlogs, if nothing else grounded or centered me in my reading, the videos did. Because I had this accountability piece, and it was also fun to sit and to talk about the books. A lot of my earlier vlogs, I didn't even go anywhere with you guys. I would check in on camera at home. I would check in on camera maybe at a coffee shop. I would check in on camera maybe in my classroom when I was teaching. That's it. It wasn't a lot of like goings on, you know what I mean? And so I have to remember that you don't have to go everywhere with me. My life isn't even set up of going, you know. I don't even live in a super interesting city to show you anything. Those things might come in the future, but right now I just want to get back to the basics, because I see where life is headed right now in this country as well, and even in the city that I still live in, and I don't want to go anywhere. I literally just want to go to work and come home. Of course, we might do dinner. We might do a movie. Sinners. Amazing. But yeah, read, sit and talk to you guys. That's it. Getting back to the basics. And maybe throwing in, I don't know, deep dives or something like that. Who knows? But I just want to get back to what I used to do. That was fun to me, and connect back with you. So that's why I'm here. So yeah, I'll be back to talk to you guys more about Sula in the next clip. Okay? Okay.